This podcast is sponsored by BB Makes, a family-run personalised gift company. From sports bottles to team merchandise, BB Makes has you covered. They will happily work with you to create unique designs for your perfect gift, with a wide range of products, all able to be personalised with names, quotes, pictures and much more. Head over to bbmakes.com. That's www.bebemakes.com and use the code COIS so they know that we sent you. Oh, and of course, come on you Spurs.
Welcome to the Spurs News Podcast, your home for all things Tottenham Hotspur. Now, here are your hosts.
Hello everybody and welcome to a new episode of the Spurs News Podcast. I am Sam, still sounding croaky like one of those professional line workers, if they still exist in the modern world. But yeah, I am here, trying not to cough on you, but I am recovering. Joining me, but now also joining me a bit poorly, it's Stefan.
Yeah, poorly once again.
Yes.
We could change the name of this podcast to the Sick News Podcast.
Could do. I mean, because kids nowadays say sick like it's a good thing. We might get more listeners. They'd be fucking disappointed pretty quickly, but you know, oh wow, this is the sick news, isn't it? No, I'm not cool. No, I'm not hip, and I'm not down with some guy. So, this is the Spurs News Podcast, talking all things Tottenham Hotspur. This is episode 257 of our show. Welcome. We have a packed show, so we are going to dive straight in with this.
Now it's time for your comments from our social media.
I'm delighted to say we have both Instagram and Facebook messages, so choose.
What's in? Let's go Instagram.
Instagram to kick off. We have, the first one is from the Johnny Stark. Hello, sir. Do you believe the Ornstein reports that the club are fully behind Ange? What are your thoughts on the Kolu Muani rumours? I don't know if I'm saying that name right, by the way.
That's one of those ones where I need to wait for him to do the introducing video again.
Yes, same. I will butcher it until then and potentially continue to butcher it like I do Lucas Bergvall, who I'm reliably informed says his name differently, and I'm just getting it so badly wrong. But anyway, Mr. Ornstein, journalist, well respected by most people, especially when it comes to transfer insider information. He does a piece on NBC Sports, which goes out to the USA and globally via YouTube. And in it, in the past, I think it was Monday, maybe Tuesday of this week, said that the board are 100% behind Ange Postecoglou. They understand all of the circumstances that are going on. This is the brand of football they want. This is the way they want Tottenham to play. This is the direction they want to go. And they are behind him, and they are going to support him and do everything they can to do business quickly in January. Me, being the cynical bastard that I am, sort of looked at that and went, yeah, we get thumped by Liverpool, that 100% backing will vanish. And it's like the dreaded board confidence vote. Remember, like back in the day, the minute it was like, oh
God, yeah, got the vote of confidence. We're behind the manager. Lose the next match and I'm sacked. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So I was a bit kind of, yeah, all right, whatever. I guess the proof's in the pudding. Us backing a manager, supporting him with early signings in the month of January, jog on. And then
never happened.
And then we went and signed someone early who went straight into the team. So maybe I should shut my mouth. And we will come on to talk about Mr. Kinski a little bit later on. But yeah, so it would appear that yes. I mean, he isn't the only journalist who said it. He's probably the highest profile journalist. There are several other journalists who have got good contacts within Tottenham, and they've said it for a couple of weeks that the club hierarchy have a very clear vision of what they want, and they do feel that there isn't a case of the players down in tools, and I think we can all see that as well. You put in our group chat last night, and I completely agree with you, if you wanted, just watch the last two games in isolation, and you said this manager's under pressure, just these last two games, you can see there isn't one player there not fighting for him, for the shirt, for, to play this way.
And that's the thing, isn't it? They are all playing his style of football. Like, if you were expecting players to kind of be like downing tools or against the manager, you would start to see them playing kind of like against his style of football. Yeah. But they're not. It's still 90 minutes of Ange ball that they are trying their best to play and putting in 100% effort.
Yeah, they are. So, to answer the first part of the question, yes, I do believe Mr. Ornstein. I think that is the message coming out from the club. My thoughts on the transfer rumour. It's an interesting one because, again, the club are moving in a far more stealthy way nowadays. And what I mean by that is, like, actual, with Mr. Paratici in charge, I think he basically had a open line to Mr. Romano, which meant that any business we were doing would get reported quite heavily. And you'd know, like, we as fans would know the signing was done, the medical was done, we'd have leaked pictures by now, and then all of a sudden the club would be like, oh, here he is, and the reaction generally was like, we know. We've known for days.
Yeah, we all knew. The only people that didn't know seemed to be you guys. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, Odegaard's signing rocked everyone for that because no one knew. I think Fabrizio Romano announced it on his Twitter about a minute before our club officially announced it. Like, it was negligible that he got there first. And he is a tap-in merchant for transfer stores, so that must have bugged him.
Oh, yes.
But, like, no one else knew. No one had a clue. Like, literally the club announced the signing and we all went, what? So that was fun, but also shows that this is the way they want to try and work. Far more behind closed doors. Now, this deal with this player, I think, is a lot more open to the press because I'm guessing the player's agent has been trying to get a bit of a bidding war going. There's interest from Juventus and AC Milan from Italy, and there's interest from Chelsea and one other club in England. It's a difficult one because it would appear that PSG will loan him in this window because clubs understand the financial regulation on everyone nowadays. Like, we're not going to expect someone in January to fork over a ton of money, but whoever takes him on loan, we want it to be guaranteed you're buying him in the summer. Obviously, every single one of those clubs mentioned would love to take him on loan with an option to buy him. Probably us included.
Yeah, let's get him in the squad and see how he does first.
Exactly, yeah. That's kind of what everyone would want, but obviously it's not what PSG want. Now, the rumours I heard yesterday was that we felt we were ahead of everyone and we were close to getting it done. But there's nothing concrete, and I would say probably now we as a fan base aren't going to get anything more concrete than rumours nowadays just because of the way we're working. But if everything is as it would seem, then the club have already moved for one player that was needed and are now moving for another, trying to get it done quickly. I'd be over the moon if they could announce that one in the next couple of days because two reasons. One, it would show they really are backing Jam backing this, which sends a clear message to everybody, and I like that. Yep. And two, I think is someone that improves the squad.
It's a player that I don't know a massive amount about.
No, I'm basing it purely on what I've read, and I'll say that as well. I've not seen the guy play a lot. I think I watched him play for France, and he didn't do very well. So, the next one on here on Instagram is Dinol1978, who says, "Will Ange survive if we have a heavy defeat tonight?" This obviously was left yesterday. In all honesty, I'm optimistic we can pull off a shock, but I'm still concerned if they turn up and defeat us and really hit us hard, especially knocking us out of the cup we seem to have put all our eggs into. I don't think we've put all our eggs into the League Cup. I would say, looking at our season, the cups have been given more of a priority than they have in quite some time, which I'm happy with, by the way.
It's a nice change, isn't it? It's a nice change that we're actually going into these games and going to try and win them. Yeah. Instead of just, saying that on Sunday, we could see a whole different squad. But at the moment, it does seem like he's putting a team out to go and win, not just to turn up and roll over someone.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, fair play to Dino, by the way, who says here he's optimistic that we can pull off a bit of a shock, because I wasn't.
He's in the minority. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think many people honestly expected the result we got last night.
No, I mean, I went into it just, we conceded 6 goals against them, a week ago at that ground, and they put out a very strong side. And I thought, okay, all right, thanks a bunch.
I went into it going, this is going to be an entertaining game.
Entertaining game, okay, that's a good way of putting it. But yeah, was I concerned? Again, and this is one of these things, I can completely understand that sentiment. I think all of us probably would have been. I said in our group chat, and I might have said it on last week's show, I can't remember, I was a bit fevery. I kind of got to a point where I was resigned to the fact that Ange was going to get sacked. I'm possibly still thinking that now. Purely because I've been around a long time with VNick, Levy, and it's what they do. Like, things aren't going very well, we sack the manager, we get a new one. We start again. Look, everyone, you can't be mad at us. We're rebuilding again. And there does seem to be a slightly different feeling this time from the fan base. Like, we're not allowing them to do that easily. Now, don't get me wrong, there is a big chunk of our fan base who are Ange out. They think the results haven't been good enough this season. They don't like Ange Ball. They want him gone. Now, that's their opinion. And okay, fine. I don't agree with that. But that's their opinion, and that's fine. But it would still seem to me the majority are kind of holding on to Ange they can see how good this could be, understand the results have been crap, do understand the circumstances, but also are fed up of this rinse and repeat, get a manager, start all over, fire him after 18 months. And, it just carries on, and we as a club never move forward. It just carries on and on and on and on. So I do think perhaps they wouldn't have pulled the trigger. I think the pressure on them to do that, and now we're seeing this transfer business being done fairly early in the window. It does suggest that what Mr. Ornstein's reporting is correct. They are accepting of kind of crazy circumstances this season with regards to injuries. I mean, like, in that last game against Newcastle, when it got reported there was an illness in the squad as well, I mean, it was just like, really? Like, you're now sending plagues? What the hell,
Yeah, what else could happen? Yeah.
Yeah, which is a dangerous thing to say right now. It's like, oh God, what else is going to happen? No one tempt fate. No one asked that question. I'm delighted to say, by the way, especially because I'm freaking freezing, we have a question coming from Island Brother.
Now it's time for a comment from Island Brother.
Oh, let the sunshine hit you, everybody.
God, I need this.
Yeah, you have no idea, man. I'm not even that big of a summer person, but I am fucking freezing today. It's -3.
Yeah, let's say Az is -3 this morning.
Yeah. He says, Happy New Year, Spurs News. Happy New Year to you as well, Island Brother. Perhaps his island have only just had New Year. I don't know. Anyway, hope all are recovering nicely from the holiday escapades and have a fruitful year. Well, that's the first leg. We actually had things go in our favour. Threw the new signing right in the fire and he looked good. My question is concerning the investment side of things. Is there any insider info on what's going on? Or have things fallen through? Keep up the great work and come on, you Spurs. Also, don't worry, Sam. I suspect your birthday will be just fine. It won't be, and we all know it. It's going to suck. But thanks. Thanks for the kind message. Mr. Brother, Island Brother, I will be talking a little bit about that in a few moments, because it was actually already on our docket to talk about. And it's kind of strange that we've then had comments asking the question. We had a conversation in our group chat 2-3 days ago.
Yeah.
And we kind of got onto this rumour that was flying around, and it was like, yeah, we'll talk about it on the podcast because it's an interesting debate to have. And no sooner did I kind of write it out to schedule it, I then saw like a comment come in on Facebook, and I was like, what? Which we'll now come on to.
Yeah.
And now we've had this question as well. So, yeah, that is a topic. We're going to move on to that in a little bit, so bear with me. Heading over to Facebook now. The first one on Facebook we have is Tom Perks. Tom Perks says, "Why don't we pick a club in the Championship, League 1 and 2 to partner with who play the same way as us and send our youth players there? Is that what we're doing with Westerlo in Belgium?" Formal partnership agreements are tricky. The reason why they're tricky and the reason why setting something like that up, especially in England, there's rarely any continuity in clubs in the lower part of the pyramid because they are more often than not fighting survival, fighting promotion, and it is whichever end of that you're in, survival is key. We send players out on loan on a regular basis to the lower football pyramid, and within a month or something, the manager, who of all the way they play and everything, gets sacked.
Yep.
So we will send a young player there knowing that their coach is someone we think highly of, knowing that the setup there is one that we think could be good for them. We then watch them start games, play games, getting the experience we want them to, and then a new manager comes in and drops them, and you're like, now what do we do?
Dane Scarlett had it this season at Oxford, didn't he? He went to Oxford, started a few games, manager got sacked, and he's been on the bench pretty much since.
Yeah, and what the club does there, I don't know. I mean, they're probably looking at options to end that and find him another loan, but there's a few instances of it. It happens every year. Not just us, all clubs, it happens. So formal partnerships, you see, again, this is kind of like a video game thing. I know, like I played and have played up until this season, Football Manager on a fairly regular basis. And that game, you can like set up these partnerships with clubs, and you force your players onto them. Basically, like here's 4 of my youth players.
Play them now, yes.
Yeah. And that's affiliate clubs and stuff like that. Now, the deal with Westerlo is kind of interesting because, yes, Alfie Devine's gone out there, and we are trying to create a few partnerships with a few clubs in different leagues around Europe. There's a club in the Netherlands I know we've had talks with, a club in Belgium, Westerlo, and there's also a few other clubs in Poland, a few other leagues where we're trying to create not a formal, like, we're going to send you good players to get game experience. What we're kind of is like youth exchange of ideas and different things like that, and just to try and help the overall development. And it's not a bad idea, and then it can lead to like loans like this. Now Westerlo have Divine, but also have a player whose name I'm gonna butcher, Vuskovic, who is still, I think I'm not sure if he's turned 18 yet, but he's 17 or 18 years old. Once he has turned 18, the transfer to us can be formalised. So at the end of the season in the summer, he will then actually move to London. But we signed him a good while back at like age 16 to this sort of pre-contract agreement. And he, from the club he's currently at, has then been loaned to a couple of leagues now in Belgium, and he's having a great time. He's a free scoring central defender. He's a real handful from set pieces, it would seem, but he's also a very good defender.
He also scored a bicycle kick the other week.
Yeah. He's not shy. He backs himself. But yeah, he's also a very solid defender. I mean, you can look up his stats, and I know the Belgian top flight isn't gonna isn't gonna make everyone stand up and take notice, but his age, playing consistently, is the important thing. So. I don't think, again, it's kind of what you define it. I don't think there's going to be any kind of formal affiliate in, like, we will send you these players every single season type deal. But I wouldn't be surprised if you see more partnerships in the sense of we're going to do, like, coach exchanges, like, a young group of our players are going to come over to you for a few weeks and vice versa and stuff like that. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that. Any kind of formal affiliation, I think at the moment would surprise me, but it could happen. Thomas Beatty says, do we need more defensive options in the transfer window? I'm going to throw this to you, mate. What do you think?
At I think we do. We definitely need a centre back, and I think we need a left back. As much as I am really impressed with Spence, and I've been really impressed with Archie Gray, I would prefer to see Archie Gray playing in midfield where he's meant to be. And
I don't know, he might be crap there. We've not seen it.
Can you imagine he plays one game centre midfield, gets dominated the whole game? We're like, he is a centre back. Okay. But yeah, I think we need a centre back and a left back.
Or a Ben Davies, but younger.
Or a Ben Davies,
Ange, no, I'd agree with that. And Ryan Miller finally says, has there been any stronger rumours of a stadium sponsor or Spurs takeover? A few months ago, the ex-Newcastle people were rumoured, but it's gone quiet. Yes, Ryan. Now, you wrote that in such a way that I was convinced you'd been tipped off of the conversation we had, and would lead to this very... I am assured that did not happen.
It did not happen, I promise.
It was
pure
fluke.
Well, it wasn't for me.
Yeah, and it was pure fluke and kind of serendipitous timing that I had already scheduled this conversation. So yes,
it was literally like a couple of hours
it
after
really was, yeah. That comment appeared, and I was like, you're jerking me around right now. What the hell? So, Ryan, I will say on that... The Newcastle people involved and the funding thing will come on to. In regards to the stadium sponsor naming rights, no. And what I was told the last time I made any inquiry to anyone who's knowledgeable on this was the club are looking for investment / takeover. They're open to it. Someone would have to pay a premium, like there's no way Enoch are stepping away or selling a large chunk without it being a high amount. And any deal done like that, having the naming rights still available is a big selling point. Also, the club financially don't need to do it. There's no guns to their head on this. When they originally obviously had the concept of what they were going to do, I don't even think they quite realised the level of a profit centre the stadium was going to be. They now, just from the events they run, so non-footballing events, pays the stadium debt and pays it down. So that is, working better or working how they wanted it to, but working to a point that there is no kind of... There's no need to go to these companies and go, hey, we wanted this much, but now we'll take less. There's no need to do it. And having it open as this option for anyone coming in is like, okay, we are this massive company and we want to invest in the club. And a good way of doing that could be to say, okay, my company is now going to own the naming rights to the stadium and we're going to spend, I don't know, how about we name the stadium this for £1 billion? And we go, yeah, okay. And we've got £1 billion injected into the club. I know we're not lucky enough that some lunatic's going to come along and do that, but the fact we've got that option open to somebody means that it is quite valuable to leave it as it is. Also,
that's a big chunk of money that is then potentially there for someone
to invest
after they've spent a big chunk of money buying the club, sort of thing.
You got it, yeah. And another aspect to it as well is they named it the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. With all of the other events, everything else that's gone on with it, it has actually really lifted the profile of the club. The NFL games are played at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London. Beyonce concerts, all these different things are at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. We've had big boxing, there's the Formula 1, all these things are at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So, although I know a lot of people go, look, there used to be a football club over there, and now it's this multi-purpose venue and everything. Every time any of these multi-purpose things talk about it, they have to say the club's name, like, say my name. And it does help with the profile. Like,
I wonder if it's going to end up a bit like, do you remember with Newcastle, St James's Park? At one point, Mike Ashley kind of named it Sports Direct at St James's Park, and everyone was like, it's St James's Park. I wonder if we're going to have something like, the Google Arena at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
I honestly don't know. I mean, I think the club have enjoyed the fact that they didn't have to jump to some deal, and have also enjoyed the fact that they have been able to use it to raise the brand awareness because the club love that.
Yep.
That's kind of like Daniel's wheelhouse right there. So yeah, I think there's a number of factors to it, but like I said, there is no kind of there is no movement on it. I think the fact that they've left it this long, I think tells everyone that now they're just kind of waiting for someone to come along with investment to buy them and have this as part of that is a good sales thing. So that is everything. That is all the comments, all the questions. Thank you so much for everybody for getting in touch. I will keep trying to do this at the start of the show because otherwise we'd have answered all of them before we ever got to them just through rambling. We do have a game to talk about, so we're going to move on to that now. Last night in the League Cup semi-final first leg at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, we defeated Liverpool 1-0 to go into the second leg, which is in about a month's time at Anfield.
6th of February or something, yeah.
Yeah, with a 1-goal advantage, but there was something that Michael Dawson on the as a pundit said last night, and I completely agreed with him, which was he didn't think we were able to win the tie in this game, but he did think we were able to lose it. And
completely, yeah.
My goal in my mind was I always felt that playing Liverpool in a one-off game we had a chance. Over 2 legs, I don't think we do. And my view on last night was if we can be in the game, go into Anfield, we will hopefully have some of our senior players back by then. And I think if we have a one-off game then, and we treat it as a one-off game, you know, then we got a real crack at it. I was delighted the way we played. I thought the effort, you know, to coin a phrase from Deadpool, it was maximum effort. And it showed that no one was down in tools on hand. No one was giving up. I will say a little caveat, and I will put this out there because I think it's something that we're going to see highlighted horribly this week. And that is, it is very easy for this group of players to be motivated to play the top sides. To play Liverpool, they were up for it, and you could see that. We now play an FA Cup tie away against a non-league team. We need to see that level of application again, and I don't think we will. And that's a little thing that bothers me and bugs me. You know, you look at the teams we beat this season, and have played very well to beat them. Man City, Man United, Aston Villa, Liverpool. And yet, we then come undone against teams that really we should be beating.
The Brightons, or, you know, you only have to look back at the Coventry game where we won in injury time.
Yeah.
We just didn't turn up. We thought, it's Coventry.
Exactly,
right.
Yeah. So I will just say that. I will put that out there. But the performance was excellent. I thought they were really good. Me and you both celebrated that goal like idiots, and regretted it by coughing and spluttering.
Man, yeah, God, I've got like a chest infection sort of thing, and the goal went in. I'm up, I'm jumping, I'm screaming, I'm laying on the sofa, not breathing. Yeah, it was a roller coaster of emotions went through me very quickly.
Yes.
Oh my God, I'm gonna die.
Yeah, we've scored a goal, and it's the last one I'll ever see. It was Yeah, it was great because we'd had that goal disallowed as well, which was, I mean, I kind of clocked it was offside. I kind of knew that was going to happen. Only Tottenham, you know, VAR introduced and we get the first goal ruled out. I mean, it's just
of course. Well, we had to give them a chance to use the Britney Spears microphone that he had to talk to the audience.
I don't think that added anything.
No, I'm completely with Ange on that. It was like, what did that do? That just slowed down another 10, 20 seconds.
Yeah, just
for no reason.
The whole VAR thing, I've kind of had to accept that, okay, technology is here and it's never going to go away now, but I'm not, like, I completely understand, like, offside is a factual thing. They draw the lines or whatever. But I remember when we were playing like, or just years ago, it was always like we want to try and give the benefit of the doubt to the attacking side because we want goals, like we want the excitement, we want stuff going on. And there'd be sometimes that'd go against you and you'd be livid. And then there are other times it'd go for you and you'd be over the moon. And I genuinely believe over the course of a 38-game season, it kind of did balance the majority of the time. But okay, it's what it is. So I'm kind of with Ange on it, but it is there now. It's what's going to get done. They are going to draw the little lines, and oh look, the hair on his left leg is ahead of the ball, so offside.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
and it's like I remember I say going back to like just having a linesman side the pitch, like the linesman would get a decision wrong, and for about 30 seconds you'd be like, oh, for sake, how did he not see that?
Yeah,
and then you get over it. Now with VAR, something happens, and you find yourself 3 days later still talking about it, and I'm like, I thought VAR was brought in to kind of get rid of these discussions and to make it, like you say, it's factual, it's this or this, that's it. And we're now like 3 days later, people are still going, I can't believe VAR did or didn't see that. And how did they not do that? Why did they not make that decision? And it's like,
I think
it's made it worse.
Yeah, the tougher one, like the offsides are grown and kind of, but you do kind of accept that, okay, you've drawn the line, is what it is. The subjective ones, again, which is just a referee's opinion, they're the ones that still spark the debate. And in fact, I think it's made it worse. Like, because if a referee misses something in real time, you always had it in your head, it happened quickly, he's human.
Yeah, he was looking at the ball that happened off the ball. Of course he didn't see it.
When someone is watching a video replay 10 to 15 times, you're sat waiting, and they still come back with the decision that's wrong. In your opinion, you feel like you want to drive your head through a wall, and that's where there's a problem. You always used to be able to go, that was a bad decision, but I don't think he was being corrupt. I don't think it was anything other than human error. Now it's like, how can you watch that on a screen for 10, 15 times and still get it wrong?
Yeah.
And that's why I think VAR is still a bit of a problem. But Liverpool and VAR and Liverpool and decisions have a gripe. They are upset that we won this game, unsurprisingly, because apparently the goal scorer shouldn't have been on the pitch. What is your opinion on that, my friend?
Do I care? No, I don't.
Yeah.
He scored. Yeah. That's all I care about.
So there's two parts to this. One, karma's a bitch. I remember a couple of seasons ago, a certain Liverpool forward, in essence, karate kicking Oliver Skip in the face, studs to the face, and not getting a yellow card for it, which would have been him sending off, and that particular striker then winning the game 4-3 in the last seconds. Yep. And so, karma is a bitch. Karma is a bitch.
Karma spelled H-A-H-A-H-A.
Yeah. The next aspect to it, which I think is interesting, is Ange has a very different version of the rule that he's apparently been told by the Premier League officials, which is if they allow advantage to go ahead and the advantage plays out, providing they didn't deem the foul cynical, they will not issue a yellow card. Now, when it went back to the studio said, I think Ange's got that wrong. And I was like, because I've seen that happen loads of times. The referee plays an advantage, the game carries on, then he blows his whistle at the end of that and goes back to the player and books him like, oi, don't think I didn't see that, you little shit or whatever.
Yeah.
So it kind of threw me that. Now, Ange was pretty angry and adamant about it. Like, this has been happening to us a lot, and we've been asking this question. So, if that genuinely is what we've been told, and I don't see why he would have said it if that isn't what he's been told. That's an interesting take, and I think a few people will be raising their eyebrows, and perhaps even, I think a few other clubs might be contacting the Referees Association this morning to go, listen to Ange last night saying what he's been told. Is that right? I wouldn't be surprised, because I imagine that might cause a little bit of.
It was quite a hot take, wasn't it?
Yeah, it could be.
I was listening to Ange after the game. It was very entertaining. Like, he was full of passion. I love Ange as a man and a manager. He's brilliant. And his reaction to it is like, no, not at all, because We've been asking them for weeks and weeks and weeks about this, and now it's happened to us. So no, not bothered at all.
Yeah, not bothered. Not. Am I bothered? Does his face look bothered to you? Bothered? Yeah. I will say as well, not everyone will agree with me on this, but I felt Virgil van Dijk and Arne Slot spoke really well afterwards. They disagreed. Yep. They felt that it should have been a second yellow and a red card, but they also put that point across, and that was it. Drew the line. No, we don't agree with that. We think the referee's made an error there. But, and that was it. Now, there are too many managers, and Klopp was one, when he was at Liverpool, who would have thrown an absolute tantrum post-match. It would have been pathetic. And there's another guy who's up the road from us who would blame the shape of the football or whatever, or there weren't enough light bulbs in his bedroom.
That was still, I mean, okay, we don't talk about them that much on this podcast, but oh my God, him coming out and saying the reason they lost 2-0 was the ball flies a bit more than the Premiership ball does was fucking comedy gold.
Oh, he's off his rocker. I mean, but my point is like they didn't do that, and I gotta respect them for that, because sometimes you can kind of deflect the defeat, because we did play well and they didn't play that well, but you can kind of deflect that by saying, oh, this is what's going on, and everyone will then talk about the decision. But they didn't. They got asked the question, they answered it from their point of view, and then they moved on. I think even one of the guy interviewing Virgil was like, was that the reason for your defeat? And he was like, no, they played well. We didn't.
I did notice that. Yeah, the person doing the interview was definitely trying to lead. I didn't see Van Dijk's. I only saw Arne Slot's one. Yeah. There was a few questions asked to him that they were obviously trying to like needle some sort of response out of him. Yeah. And be honest, I think I put it in the group chat, like, I think he explained his point. He didn't whinge, he didn't bitch, he just explained his point.
Yeah.
And then moved on. And the person asking the question was like, go on, yeah, but aren't you annoyed by it? Come on, give me a second. He's like, no.
No, it's football. And I thought that was good, and I enjoyed that, and I appreciated that. The winner was excellent. I want to say again, and I'm going to keep saying it, Dom Solanke has been an incredible signing for us. He is scoring. He is getting his finish last night. I know it was offside, marginal offside, but his finish was incredible. And his work to set up the goal is exactly why he's been brilliant for us. And what a finish, by the way. 18-year-old, his first goal for the club, and he took it brilliantly and celebrated like a boss as well. I enjoyed that. Love a good knee
when
slide.
that left his foot, he hit that with like, this is going in. Like, there is no stopping this.
Yeah. Smash that past Alisson. I do want to point out as well, earlier in the game, Bergevall, he pressed Alisson to the point that I think Alisson was having Bergevall nightmares, and he won the ball off of him, and Pedro Porro hits a shot, is blocked. Bergevall picks up the ball again, like this kid is relentless, passes it to Porro, who then clips it goalwards, and it just drifts wide. And in that moment, I thought that was our chance. That was it. Liverpool are going to score now. This is how this works. And if anyone's seen it, Ange Postecoglou's reaction to that miss is priceless. It is absolutely the look of a seasoned Tottenham fan who knows the script. Knows that was the best chance Liverpool will ever gift anyone ever. And we fluffed it.
We missed it.
And it's just this look of total, why me? But yeah, so we did win. We did win 1-0. I'm delighted with it. I didn't see it coming. I'll hold my hands up. I'm thrilled that it has. From your point of view, how do you sum up the game? What did you think of the victory? We will talk about Bentancur afterwards, but just talk about the game a little bit.
Yeah, so I put in our group chat before the game, I said this game's going to go one or two ways. It's either going to be an absolute masterclass, or we're going to get absolutely hammered.
I did mock you a little bit.
I was kind of expecting a little bit of the second one. Like I said, I expected an entertaining game. That doesn't mean I expected us to win. I expected entertaining.
Yeah, that's fair.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, I did mock you a little bit for saying that because it was like, yes, those are the options. We might win and we might lose. Yeah.
yeah, true. But I thought the performance was great. I thought every player to a man put everything into it. Like they were there fighting for the manager, the club, the
Yeah.
shirt. They played the style of football well. Shout out to Spence as well. He had a fantastic game at the back.
I think they all did. I mean, I've seen a few people say, "Oh, highlight this player," and I've gone, "Yeah, definitely." But Dragusin's getting loads of stick. His goal line clearance is the reason we won the game 1-0.
And he had a very good game, actually. Yeah,
very good game, very composed. Brought the ball out of the fence several times as well. He had a very good game. So you sort of walk through the team, and it's like everybody did. Porro played very well. Johnson came on for a good while. He didn't look like he was up to speed of the game for me. Like he wasn't helping Porro out in defence, and for a little bit he seemed to be out of it. Now I don't know if perhaps he wasn't starting because fatigue and things had kicked in, or perhaps the situation that he had to come on to kind of threw him. Perhaps they had a bit of a game plan, like, okay, 60 minutes, you're coming on.
He looked when he came on the pitch, he came on, and for the first 10 minutes, he looked like, I'm not meant to be on the pitch yet.
Yeah, there was an element of that.
I'm not meant to be here.
Now, the reason he was on was that Rodrigo Bentancur picked up an injury, which stopped the game for the best part of 10 minutes. It looked, and still now, because I have now watched the replay a couple of times now, Sky made the decision not to show the replay over and over again, and I got to respect that.
Yep.
But I watched it live, and to me, it looked like he went to do a diving header and collapsed. And because I was just like, no, that's terrifying. And Pedro Porro was the first player to react, who sprinted to him to put him in the recovery position. And
credit to Porro.
Yeah, I mean, clarity of thought. And then he played the whole game, obviously with that in the back of his mind, and played very well. So I can't compliment him enough on that. But he, still right now, as we are recording this, there is no official word on exactly what happened. Now, I have now seen the replay several times, and I think, pure speculation on my part, he has gone to do a flick-on style header, launched himself to do it, and I think he's literally knocked himself out on the ground. Like collarbone, shoulder, head, literally just goes straight into the ground. And I think that's what's happened. Importantly, he posted on his social media overnight that he is okay. He was in a hospital but sat up looking fine. But yeah, I think purely from what I've seen, and Ange said afterwards it was a head injury, but he didn't want to speculate, and that was fine. But yeah, that's how it looked to me. I'm guessing we'll get a little bit more clarification. Probably by the time you're listening to this, we'll all know. But yeah, it was scary. Like that was, you've seen players collapse and stuff, and I mean the most famous one watching the Euros when Ericsson dropped, and I mean I'll never forget that for the rest of my life. That made me feel ill. Made me feel it was awful. I never. Yeah, I still haunted by that, and I think when I saw the player go down the way he did, it kind of dragged that back up, like a little bit of like a PTSD response almost, of like I can't, I don't want to be seeing something like this ever again. This was horrible. You obviously saw it as well. Do you think my interpretation of this right, or did you see it differently?
I am very much hoping that what you said turns out to be what it kind of was. There was nothing, no more serious underlying or anything like that. It was just a case of he went for the ball, and the impact of landing kind of took him out a bit.
Yeah,
it was very worrying to watch.
It was really worrying to watch, but he does appear to be okay. So hopefully, by the time everyone's listening to this, we all know exactly what's happened.
And he is not having a season to remember, is he, bless him?
No, he's not. But he does appear to be okay, and that's the most important thing. This was the League Cup semi-final. Next game for us is the FA Cup. We go to Tamworth, is it? I think it's Tamworth.
It's Tamworth, yeah. Now, I think I said to you in the messages last night, after the performance versus Liverpool,
Yeah.
the last thing we now need is an away trip to a non-league team.
Yeah.
We're on such a buzz from that game, and kind of like, look, even without so many big players, we still played like that. We got the performance. This is where you want like our next league game to be on Saturday.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, now we've got this game away at Tamworth. Now, I don't know what the fan crowd is going to be like there, because they've decided to charge like Premier League ticket prices to go see it.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the situation with the crowd's going to be like there.
No idea.
And it's one of those ones where now Ange has now got a decision to make, because if he starts like the strong 11, he's risking injury. We're playing on an artificial pitch. It's an injury risk to any of the players that we are going to need for our next league game. But if you rotate too much of the squad, as we've seen before, you rotate too much, they've got no cohesion between them. We then give ourselves a tricky game that we don't need, and probably end up bringing on the big players from the bench.
Yeah.
And then you're kind of like, it's one of those, at the same time, you don't want to rotate the whole squad and lose the momentum that the lads have just picked up from last night.
It's kind of like being on highway to nothing, and it's a difficult one, because there is no win in this. Like, you go there and thump them, that's what you should have done. You scrape by, then everyone goes, bloody hell, the FA Cup, you're lucky to get through. You lose, and it can be an absolute sucker punch to the club, to confidence, to everything. And we really don't need that. Like, that would be, for obviously all the reasons, going at the FA Cup like that, all of the stuff that would be a nightmare. But right now, given the way the club's feeling, the injuries, the illness, everything that feels a bit like the world's against us, we kind of need to go there and win it, and get away from there, if that makes sense.
It's a weird one, because I think, I don't know if this is just the ignorance of supporting the Premier League team. I'm like, if we went there and we put Lancashire up front with Moore and our new signing from Korea on the other wing, those front three should be able to have a good day against a non-league team.
They should.
And at the same time, I'm like, if Richie is fit enough, chuck Richie in there to get a couple of goals and get his confidence back up. Get Son and Werner playing to get some goals and some confidence up,
You're saying that about, we go there with this Premier League given right that we should go there and win. I've been watching the FA Cup for 40 years.
Oh, yes.
And I've seen probably phenomenal sides, Premier League teams, who go to Ajax, AC Milan, and win and dominate on a Wednesday. And then it's a Sunday in the FA Cup, and they're playing Tamworth away, and they lose.
Yep.
And you're like, how in the flock? Like, they've not rotated, they're playing their strongest side. But it's a mentality thing, and this is where I have this worry. Because I think we've seen this in the Premier League. I think in the Premier League, you shouldn't ever take your foot off the gas. Like, whoever the opposition is, you need to be motivated for it and up for it. So, we have a situation here where if we are like that, you said earlier on, like, Brighton is in. Brighton are a bloody good side. But if we have a mentality of, it's Brighton, we'll win this. We're 2-0 up at half-time. This is a doddle. You do that against a Tamworth who are literally having their 15 minutes. This is that they're on TV. This is a group of players who might not ever get to play in a game like this ever again. They are going to be going at it hammer and nail from minute one. And we have got to be up for it. Because if you're not, that's how the FA Cup shocks happen. You show up thinking you're going to win. We're Bertie Big Bollocks. And you get knocked out. And so that worries me because of the way that in the Premier League this season we've done that consistently. Beat Manchester City, lost to Ipswich. I mean that was mental, really. It should never happen. Like that shouldn't happen. And that's not to try and denigrate to the teams that have beaten us. It's just that is a motivation thing. That is a not being up for it. So being up to play Liverpool in the semi-final, easy. Being up to go to Tamworth, that's a difficult one. This side needs to prove they can, because I think if they go there and win, do well and win the game, it really helps. It give everyone a lift. That's 2 wins in a row. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like,
yeah,
it's important. It is really, really important we get that right. Now, the very next game is Arsenal North London Derby at the Emirates, a stadium we don't do well at, against a team that is banging form compared to us. They're second in the league, fighting for the league title. We need to go there and be up for it and fight for it, and with a little bit of confidence behind us. We go there off the back of getting knocked out of the FA Cup, and then we lose to them as well. We're straight back to square one. Like, the Liverpool game then doesn't matter. So it is a big deal. Tamworth game, we need to show up. Now, if Ange was to pick the strongest side to start the game, and we go 2-3-0 up and he subs them off, I think I'd prefer that to starting with a heavily rotated side, going a goal down, and then having to bring those players on, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I do agree with that. I agree with that.
But yeah,
I'd rather us be 3-0 up at half time, and then he goes, all right, now we'll bring on Mikey Moore.
Now, on
do
paper,
signings and
on paper, our reserves should be more than enough.
Yeah.
But football's played on grass, or artificial surface, as this may well be. So there we go. Now, the final things we're going to talk about. The first up, I just want to mention that the contract extension for Son Heung-min. The sun will continue to shine at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium until the summer 2026. I'm informed by someone smarter and more reliable than me that there is a little bit of friction there. Son wanted a new deal. He wanted, not looking for a bumper pay rise or anything, but he wanted to sign a deal with the club for a couple of years with again, another option. He's happy to finish his career at Tottenham, and he feels that the club, by just triggering this 1-year extension, have kind of not repaid the loyalty he showed them. So there is a little bit of friction there. I don't think you'll ever hear that from Son in a million years. I think he's too professional. And obviously the club wouldn't want that out there. But yeah, apparently that is true. There is a little bit of friction there, and it's been going on a little while. Has that potentially impacted his form? Perhaps got into his head a little bit, like they don't actually want me here anymore? I don't know. But
because you kind of get that as well. So if we hadn't have triggered that extension, he would now be out of contract this summer.
Yeah.
So he is now able to, and before we triggered it, he was able to talk to other clubs.
He was, and a rumour flew around about Barcelona literally a couple of days before we triggered it.
Yeah, and then we've triggered it. Now, I am really hoping it's not the case, but knowing the owners of the club, you're kind of, a little part of you goes, oh, that means he's more expensive in the summer.
Yeah.
He's still got a year in his contract. He's not a free agent. That's a transfer fee.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah.
I hope not. I think his form this season hasn't been fantastic, but he still gives so much to the club.
Yeah.
I don't want to see him go just yet, but we'll see what happens.
No, I mean, loyalty works both ways. People question player loyalty in the modern game. He signed a new contract with us when we'd appointed the one I don't speak about. Harry was demanding the leave. Players were all over the place. The club was a mess. And he signed a new deal saying, I love this place and I'm staying. He didn't need to do that. He had options. He had a lot of options where he could have gone off and won trophies. Places.
He was like at peak at the time as well, so yeah.
So he showed us a great deal of loyalty, giving his best years to this football club. I think his fans, we can say like his form's not great or whatever at the moment, but I'd like to see us rally behind him a little bit more than we have. But that's just my personal opinion. So, we had a note, as everybody knows, from Island Brother, and we had a note, as everybody knows, from Ryan. Yes, thank you. Glad you're here. Asking about investment and stuff. Now, a little while ago, a rumour flew around that a lady called Amanda Staveley, I think is her surname, who basically put together the Newcastle takeover, was working on a similar project with Tottenham. Now, the club put out statements around investment. So 2 + 2 equals, that's what she's working on. She represents some of the wealthiest people in the globe in terms of like investment groups and things. And she is looking, and she's basically been pictured at Tottenham at like 10 to 15 games this season.
Yeah.
So something's going on there, all right? Now, the rumour that flew around about a month ago, which I wanted me and you just to have a chat about on the show, is that the owners of PSG, basically the country of Qatar, have got to a point where they don't think they are ever going to win the Champions League with PSG. They kind of feel like we've reached this point of we're just never going to get over that line. Like, no matter how much we spend, no matter what we do, this is kind of, we're stuck.
Well, yeah, the club came out, didn't they? Some had just gone with Mbappe leaving. And they were like, we've tried doing the Galacticos route. We've brought in the Neymars, the Messis, the Mbappes. It hasn't worked for us. So instead, we're now going to start developing our own players and do it that way instead.
Yeah, which is great. And good luck to them. And I hope it works out. But this Qatar, so the rumour is, just so everyone knows, the rumour is that they want to sell their stake in PSG and reduce it to not an ownership stake anymore. They'll still have like a percentage or whatever, but they want to reduce it, which would enable them to buy another club. And the club they are interested in, and Amanda Staveley is interested in doing the deal, is Tottenham. There's 2 reasons for this. One, a bit like Paris, London has a certain,
bit of an appeal.
Yeah, certain appeal. So from their point of view, a London club is a big deal. The second part, which is the part I was going to kind of come on to with regards to the naming rights, etc., is in football now, the rules like financial sustainability and all these different rules, the PSR and the FIFA and UEFA regulations especially, you look at Newcastle, right? Newcastle United's owners, I think one person said, compared to the Manchester City owners, is like comparing the wages of a non-league player to a Premier League player.
Yeah, they are now the richest club in the world and not able to spend a penny.
And they're not able to spend it because of the rules. So they literally could spend hundreds and hundreds of millions in every window if the rules were like they were back in the day when Roman Abramovich took over Chelsea, for example. If they were just allowed to freely go crazy, they could buy and sell other football clubs, not just players. They are that wealthy. But because of the rules, they are restricted to work within Newcastle's budgetary, this is Newcastle's income. So they are working now diligently to increase that. And they're also kind of waiting for the outcome of this Manchester City case, because the way Man City's owners did it is now landing them in hot water. So Newcastle are kind of right. We need to see who wins that, because if Man City win it, well, hey, we're going to do the same thing. If the Premier League wins it, we need to do stuff to expand the income base for the club. Bring us back to Tottenham. Tottenham Hotspur is in such a strong financial position due to the stadium, due to all of the work that Daniel Levy has done, and this is where I'll credit him highly, that based on all of the financial expertise from these people who do these analysis, not only are we one of only 4 clubs with no potential issues for rule breaks at all in the Premier League. A lot of other clubs have got potential issues so that they're being restricted in what they do. We don't have that at all. we as a club in January could spend 500 million, okay, in this window right now, and then in the summer spend an additional 1 billion and would still be within the rules.
Oh, can you imagine?
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I mean, we know our owners and everything like that, but that is the financial position we are in. Now, let's circle back to the rumour, okay?
Mm-hmm.
If you are that, and you are of a mindset that you want to buy a club to then win the Champions League, to then dominate, that's what you want. And you're looking at all the rules and everything that's in place, Tottenham would be the absolute best club to buy. Because you would be able to find a way to put the money through, like in purchasing the club. You know, it could be part of the deal. Look at what they did at Chelsea. Todd Bowley, as part of the deal that was done, would invest X amount of money into the playing side as part of the sale agreement. There are no rules against that. That was part of the agreement between Roman Abramovich, the sale, and the club to this guy, is that he would come in, clear the debts, and put X amount of money in as part of the sale agreement. And that's how they kind of got away with that initial 1 billion. Since then, how they're getting away with it is dodgy as hell. But that's how they got away with that. From Tottenham's point of view, let's say this Qatari-based people did want to do it, and Man Stavely does the deal. It means that they could put through the naming rights, for example. Oh, the stadium's now called the Qatar Airways, Stadium, London. Oh, and they've done that? How much have they done that for? Oh yeah, £1 billion for the life of the stadium. That is £1 billion now available to Tottenham in their coffers. It's sat there because they've done it through the naming rights.
Yep.
So the way the club
that's
have
sort
done
of like
it,
fantasy football level money.
Oh, it is. It's ridiculous. Like, and I don't think it'll ever happen because shit like this doesn't happen to us, right? But the thing that me and you were going to talk about, and I think it's the thing that's interesting, that is pure rumour. There's nothing concrete out there. But what I have laid out as in why it looks like we would be a good buy, even though we're bloody expensive. Like, if someone wants to invest, someone wants to buy into us, ENIC aren't just going to be like, oh yeah, okay, give us 1.5 billion and we're done. ENIC values this club highly, and these are the reasons why. Because anyone who is looking to do this, and here's the but, and this is the debate, and I want all the fans listening, everyone to kind of roll this around a bit as well. Is that selling the soul? Is that completely and utterly morally bankrupt when you allow a state who are in essence using you to sport wash what they are, like the Newcastle ownership, the stuff that goes on in their country and the stuff that they allow, the stuff that they're involved in, makes me feel uncomfortable that we're allowing them to own a Premier League football team. If this was my club now, so someone, again, all of those same issues are using my club to sport wash, like, oh, Qatar's wonderful, look at us, we own Tottenham. Everyone loves Tottenham, come on. Boy, do they not, by the way.
They're going to get that wrong.
But that is what they would do. We know, me and you, and sadly all football fans know, that would probably get us success. Because they'd spend, and we'd allow it, we'd get the best players, and then we would win stuff, and that'd be wonderful. But there is that little nagging thing. What's your view on that? Because I felt like you put in the group chat the other day when I raised this, you were like, I've now reached a point where I'm willing to sell my soul.
Yeah, I think it's difficult because the whole moral thing is there, 100%.
Yeah.
But then it's kind of like the other side of it is like, oh, I'd like to see another trophy before I die.
Yeah.
I'd like to see us go into a transfer window and not be like, that player's worth 10 million. Here's 5 million and a Genus bobblehead.
Yeah.
Oh, and Archie Gray will now sign a shirt for you because he's going to be a star of the future.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, oh, it would be nice just to say, oh, we want this player. Okay, go buy him.
Yeah.
There's like there's so many like the transfer rumours flying around this window so far,
Yeah.
and you're like we as a club and as fans, we're looking at them going like, you know, there was a rumour that made me very excited that Jack Grealish would be available.
Yeah.
And it was a rumour, and you look at it and you go, there's no way on earth that we are going to stump up A, a transfer fee for him,
Yeah.
and then B, wages that are going to be anywhere near what he's on now to make him want to leave.
Yeah.
We have the money available. We ain't going to do it, though.
No.
We've been linked to Marcus Rashford
Yeah.
as a loan to buy sort of deal. And again, I look at that and I'm like, he's on like 400 grand a week.
Yeah.
He ain't going to come to Tottenham.
No, and also Kobe Mainoo is now available. Manchester United, unbelievably, and I know they're your beloved team.
They are screwed.
How has that happened? The biggest club in the world, without a doubt, financial powerhouse club, and like Barcelona, they have been mismanaged to a point where Man United are now. They've literally said they've put it out there. There are no players in the squad that they wouldn't listen to offers for because they need to sell to be able to buy. And to be able
They've
to
got a
fill the
stadium
squad.
that leaks. They've got the press room apparently has a leak in it as well.
Yeah.
Like the club is literally falling apart. And like I did like Mainoo's come out and said that, you know, he understands what's been said and that, you know, he would prefer to fight for his place at the club.
Yep.
Chelsea came in and asked about him. And he said, the only way I'm moving to Chelsea is for 200 grand a week.
Oh, what? He put that out there?
I don't know if it was him that put it out there or like an agent or something, but I read it that apparently, the only way he'd go to Chelsea is like he'd be asking for like 200 grand a week.
Well, Chelsea would do that in a heartbeat.
That's what I mean. I'm like, that's not going to put Chelsea off. You say that to Tottenham and the club look at you and go, oh, you're a youngster, 200 grand's a lot of money.
Maybe well, that Kobe Mainoo, he's a player that would suit Ange Ball massively. You sign him now and you've, injuries permitting, got a decade of him. He is the sort of player that an owner, like we were just discussing, would go and buy right now.
Instantly, yep. Okay, done.
Okay, done. All right, give Man United 60, 80 million for him, and his wages, no bother. Yeah, and he'd be a Tottenham player. And that is the difference. ENIC, and they'll never ever do that. And that is the reason why a lot of fans would welcome that kind of ownership, because it would just be so unique to us. Like we never felt that way. Like, oh, look at that player. Wouldn't he be great for us? Yeah, he would. Oh, and he's available. Yeah, but he'll never come to us because of X, Y, and Z. All of a sudden becomes, oh, you were to that guy. Yeah, well, we just signed him.
Yeah.
Because of that, it is very, very tempting to want that. It is very kind of... We kind of reached a point where it's like we've tried to do it the proper way for decades and we've won a League Cup. Yay, it was nice, but that's what we've got for trying to do it, the old-fashioned way. It's almost to the point now where it's like, in that time that ENIC have owned us, Chelsea got bought by Roman and became a dominant side in Europe. And more recently, Man City got bought. And bear in mind that when ENIC took over Tottenham, Man City were relegated. I think they were down in League Two.
Yeah.
And Man City have been purchased. They've got the stadium. And they've been arguably the most dominant Premier League team in history. Four titles in a row. First team to do that. They ain't getting 5. But that was bought and that was paid for by someone coming in and buying all the best players, the best coaching, and just that's what they've done. And now Newcastle are competitive, having been a yo-yo club for a number of years, up and down, and are now going to be consistently up there because they've got the money there to back themselves, and they're trying to, depending on the outcome of certain court cases, could go crazy as well.
Yeah.
And then we're just kind of looking at it. And I will say our neighbours up the road, through their financial planning, the big difference to them and us is they do show ambition to win. They will spend 100 million on one player every window from this point on. They're talking about it again now. They're talking about signing a striker and they're willing to spend 100 million plus on him. And we're like, yeah, well, we're going to get one in on loan. Whatever.
Can you imagine? I can actually imagine Daniel Levy's face anytime someone recommends a player and it's like, yeah, but he all cost you about 100 million.
Yeah.
You can kind of just see in your head, can't you, the look that would be on Daniel Levy's face.
Yeah, he'd cry.
As he closes the door on you, yeah.
So the last thing I'm just going to touch on is transfers, and we have made a signing. His surname is Kinski. Now, I'm going to say this on the podcast because people will look out for it then, and it'd be funny. My phone, which I do all of the posts for the Facebook and everything from, keeps auto-correcting him to Kinky.
Brilliant.
At some point, I'm going to miss that, and it's going to be, oh, what a great game from Kinky yesterday, or whatever. And everyone's going to have a great laugh and give me shit over it. It's my bloody phone. A little bit worried that my autocorrect sees the word Kinski is like, Kinky? You must mean Kinky. Come on, you write that a lot, Kinky. But yeah, it does. And so that is bothering me, and I'm paranoid the hell out of it.
I've got to admit, I've got to hold my hands up on this new signing.
Yeah.
The signing came in, and I was pissed.
Yeah.
I thought there are other positions in this squad that were a lot more important than the goalkeeping position. We signed him on the day that Austin made his debut after being at the club for like 15 years.
Yep.
And had a good performance. And I was like, that's a player.
Yep.
Why sign a player 5 years younger when you've got him there? We have a massive homegrown issue. You've got Josh Keeley out at, is he Leighton Orient, is that?
He is,
breaking records for them. He's playing so well.
Yep.
And he is the same age as this goalkeeper we've just brought in.
Yep.
And I'm like, why have we done it? Why have we just dropped like 15 million on a foreign player when we have homegrown issues?
Yep.
When we have homegrown players, they're ready to take that place. So, and I posted quite a lot. I don't use social media very much anymore anyway, but I did post on quite a few different things, my opinion on this signing.
Yeah, which I hope you learn from.
I then watched him play last night and was sat there going, oh my God.
So he's very confident. I've decided that I love him, but also acknowledge the way he plays will kill me, without a doubt.
Well, there was a ball that came into the box, and instead of catching it, he flicked it up in the air over the player and then caught it. Yeah, and just ballsy. On debut, by the way, just like, fuck you, look, I'll do my game and I'll have a good time. Yeah, so, he was so cool and collected. Like, he almost did a Rob Green, and even then, he still looked calm and collected. He just kind of reached round behind him and grabbed the ball from going over the line. He's still like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, whatever, I'm good. By the way, that ball moved dramatically at the last minute. Did you see the replay of that?
Yeah. That was like in his arms. Oh, shoulder.
Yeah, just like literally at the last second, it like hit the turf and went in a different direction. I was like, oh, wow. He actually did really well. He had a great debut, and if he continues to play like that, what a signing he is, and Vicario will be nervous because the kid is talented and calm and clearly backs himself. Now, I think I've mentioned this on a podcast before, but an old school friend of mine is an actual football scout, paid, professional, it's his job, and he, for a long time, specialised, he now specialises in sort of academy stuff, but he was looking at goalkeepers. His big sort of thing, there were a few players that he discovered that went on to be very, very good Premier League keepers. He worked for Tottenham for a time, he worked for various clubs, he's now working in a role which I'm not going to disclose, but he is, and he's doing really well. Now it suddenly occurred to me, due to his background, I should ask his opinion on this signing. He said to me, and this is before we've seen him play or anything, he said that is, paraphrasing, because I can't remember his exact wording now, but basically, he's a fantastic signing who I genuinely think is going to be your new number one. Even at his age, he is basically Manuel Neuer, but younger. I took that with a monumental pinch of salt of whatever, for God's sake, that's totally over the top. Having watched him play last night, the position he takes up on the pitch...
Centre-back.
Yeah. His basic backing himself as a footballer with the ball at his feet. Like his first pass out from the back was clipping it over a player's head to our defender. He has got a range of passing that Toby Alderweireld would be proud of. These ping passes. My God, did it open up all these options.
Now, that's not what I'm talking about. Just very quickly, his passing. Now,
yeah.
I don't know if it was just me, but I saw a goalkeeper do, in quotations, long balls.
Yeah.
More last night than I've seen in a long time.
Yeah. He has the vision and the self-belief that he will pick out runners wherever they are. And by the way, he was doing it. He picked out Dom 3 or 4 times, and Dom's strength is that taking the ball down and bringing others in. That is an asset and a weapon because it completely bypasses the press. It actually really messed with Liverpool last night. Liverpool, and everyone knows how Tottenham play. We're going to play it out from the back. We're going to play it. And he was confidently doing that all game. But every now and again, he'd lift his head and Sonny would make a run, Solanke, and he'd ping it to him. And you genuinely saw a little bit of like, oh, this is still Ange ball, by the way. This isn't like a variation. This isn't Ange conceding. This is just playing what is in front of you. And this kid has the confidence to do it. Perhaps Vicario isn't that confident playing longer pass. He feels like that's giving away possession. This kid's like, no, I'll ping it 60, 70 yards right to Solanke's feet. And he did. It was to me, what was kind of funny was, why is it that someone who I know, who just so happened I went to school with, but someone who I know, who is a paid professional, highly paid professional football scout, gave me this opinion and I disregarded it because I know better. Which is funny. Like when you think about it now, what was it? I posted that in our group chat. What he said to me, a couple of days before the game.
And I think all of us in the group chat turned around and went, "Yeah, but don't really need him. I'd rather Austin starts."
Yeah, but now having watched how he plays, that message telling us that he's like Nur but younger was spot on. Like that, he really is. Like that really is how he plays. The saves he made, making himself big, all of that was Manuel Neuer. All of it. Like genuinely, that comparison that my friend gave me. I watched that game last night and I messaged him. I messaged him quite late because I was up quite late. And I just said, yeah, you were spot on. Like that actually genuinely was. And I got a very sarcastic message this morning like, yeah, it's almost like that's my job. So I was like, all right, smart ass. But yeah.
You deserve that.
Yeah, I did. Massively I did. But again, on paper, and this is our new scouting and our new recruitment, I have been feeling a little bit I feel like I've been duped a bit in this. Like, all the players we signed in the summer are all going to be great for the future, but it feels like resale value was the ticket, was what we were looking for. I think perhaps my jaded, angry view of ENIC on the footballing side made me feel that way, because if you look at the recruitment now, again, those players that came in the summer, Berval, Gray, they've been brilliant for us, like really, really great in a real difficult situation. And now you look at this guy, signed, completed on the Monday, made his debut on the Wednesday after 2 training sessions, 2 days of training, and plays to that level. With that, it's not just that he did well, because the team did well and he kept a clean sheet, which is great, but it's the confidence he had. Like from minute one, he went out there like he'd been at the club for years, has been playing at this level for years, and was just like, yeah, this is how I play. This is football. It's easy. You know, there's strikers coming through on goal. Do I pick the ball up? No, I'll knock it over his head, make him look like a dickhead.
Yeah.
I was just like, wow, okay. But like I said, I love him, and I also accept he's going to kill me, because shit like that will end my life. Just
when
so
he does
everyone's
a Cruyff turn against Man City or against Arsenal or something, you're like, what are you doing?
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, it ain't always going to work. But Alisson, I think, is among some of the best goalkeepers in the world. And last night he got caught big time by Bergvall.
Yep.
It will not work 100% of the time, and we as a fan base need to accept that. But his performance last night, if he has that confidence and he can maintain that, that is a goalkeeper that suits Ange Ball. So you now have, when Vicario returns from injury, two goalkeepers there who are going to push each other, playing Ange Ball style. There is no, with the greatest respect to him, as a shot stopper, he's been great. Forster coming in and not being able to play our way at all.
No, you're right.
So the third choice for me is Austin, club trained, homegrown. I think he stays third choice. I think Forster's contract expires and he leaves in the summer. Best wishes. Thank you for your help. But it looks like we now have two goalkeepers there that are really going to push each other. And if I'm Vicario, I'm watching that going, oh, shit. All right.
Yeah, all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay.
I mean, he is that bit more experienced. He is also still more than capable. But, yeah, this kid's made a debut. And
Vicario's still going to be out for another couple of months.
Exactly.
That gives quite a lot of game time.
It does. I mean, this is why
keeper to get experience.
It does. Now, just a little bit amusing, I guess, or a little bit amusing to me. I'll end the show with this. Following his clean sheet on debut last night, he now has the same number of clean sheets as Forster and Vicario for this season. On that note, thank you to everybody for listening to Spurs News. We will be back next week to talk about the mad and fun world of Tottenham Hotspur. By the time you hear from us next week, we'd have had the FA Cup third round and the North London Derby, which is on my birthday, which I hate. I hate that. You have no idea how much I hate that. But yes, so by the time you hear from us again, we'd have had those two games. We'll either be in a very over the moon, I'd possibly still be drunk by the time of recording if we manage to win those games. But you're not in a good place. So enjoy this. Enjoy that win over Liverpool, because you never know what's going to come next. You all take care. We'll be back next week.
Come on, you Spurs.
Thank you for listening to the Spurs News Podcast. We hope that you enjoyed the show. Stay up to date with all things Tottenham. Follow us on social media. All links are in the podcast description.